All right, this is Dan Mace with Talk of the Town, and this month's interview we're with the stars of our shows, Libby, Mitchell, and Jim Winston. How you doing, folks?
Doing fine, Dan.
Doing fine.
Great. I want to start off by thanking you both so much for all the work you do with me. It's really great, and you guys do a great job with it. And this is where you tell me how much you love doing it.
Thank you, Dan. It means a lot.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed our times together.
Great. Libby, why don't you start out? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I'm here in Martinsburg right now. I've been all over the country. I work as a writer and screenwriter, and so what is it that you really want to know, Dan?
Well, if you want to tell people why are you doing the shows?
Oh, when I was in Texas, I did a lot of voiceover work. So when I saw the notice that you were looking for people, I thought this would be a wonderful opportunity to keep going forward with that.
Excellent. And Jim, what about you, buddy? What are you up to?
Well, I'm retired and dabble a little bit of woodworking and good craft shows, but I enjoy these stories that you write, Dan, and it's fun to role play a little bit, you know?
Yeah, step out of yourself and be someone else for a while.
Yeah, something different.
Yeah. So speaking of Jim's woodworking, Jim makes the most beautiful boxes and things with drawers in them I've ever seen. It's just absolutely amazing work.
Well, thank you, Dan. Appreciate that.
Libby, tell us a little bit about some of your experiences you've had with media in the past.
Did you say with media?
Yeah, your shows and things that you've been involved in.
Yeah, we've done a lot of different shorts, radio. I did a lot of work with the Texas Radio Theater, and that was a lot of in-person programs and stuff that we would do at either coffee shops or the museum or senior homes. Yeah, and that was great. And I did a lot of the sound work. So because everything was right there, they didn't have at the time they didn't have a lot of the sounds and things that you could put on the computer. So everything had to be live, and we would have different things that would make walking noises or
sound
woo-woo
effects and
noises.
all.
Yes, the woo-woo noises of spacecrafts and all that. So, we'd always do something different, Plan 9, or different ideas that the main guy would have.
Plan 9 from outer space?
Yes.
I actually know Conrad, who was in Plan 9. He lived locally.
Oh, wow.
And I had him over here, and I was supposed to do a show with him. And for many years after he got a little older, he would make his money and his lifestyle by going around to all the conventions and selling the DVDs for Plan 9 and signing them. Conrad Brooks. He played the young policeman in Plan 9. Mm-hmm. Great guy. But after 3 times coming here and having dinner with us and never getting to the recording, we finally just decided I wasn't going to try anymore. But yeah, he was a lot of fun. So do you have any aspirations to go for more beyond this?
Possibly. I might want to be doing some more voiceover work and a lot more of my stuff with the screenwriting that I do.
And what about you, Jim? You got any plans to do more, beyond my show, or?
Not really. I've never really had a aspiration of being an actor or anything. I never thought I was that good at it, but I really.
Well, yeah, you've done great.
Well, thank you. I don't mind helping you out. It's something different, and I do enjoy it. It's pretty cool.
Perhaps something different.
Yeah.
What about your boxes? Since that's mostly what you're into, why don't you tell us a little bit about your boxes, your woodworking?
I primarily make, they're called bandsaw boxes because the bandsaw is the main tool that you use in making them. I see a lot of videos on the internet, but as far as going to craft shows locally or anything, I hardly ever see anybody else making them. So it's kind of neat to make something that's different from everybody else.
Well, your stuff is very unique. I've never seen it anywhere else.
Well, thank you. I do appreciate that. But it's fun. I saw a YouTube video about, maybe 8 years ago of a guy making a simple one-drawer bandsaw box, and I thought, that's something I could get into in my retirement years, And so I bought a bandsaw and started making small ones, and then they got a little bigger, and then different shapes and designs. And
There are your cat ones and things like
cats
that.
and owls and pigs and trees and different geometric shapes and whatever inspiration I get. I'm a believer that God puts an idea in my head and says, here, try to make this, and he says, I gave you the skills and talent and ability to do it. Let's see what you got. and I go from there.
Now, are you originally from West Virginia?
No, I'm actually from Western Pennsylvania. I grew up there, spent about half my life in Western Pennsylvania. Spent about 7 years in Warrenton, Virginia, and then after that we moved to Atlanta. My wife, she used to work for Sprint, and they closed the division that she worked for. And she went to work on a Friday, and they said, we're closing our division in 2 weeks, and you won't be able to work here anymore, and we'll relocate you to one of 4 other cities in the country, pay your expenses to get there, and we want your answer on Monday. So from Friday to Monday, we had 1 weekend to decide where we're going to move and what we're going to do for a living or anything. So we decided to move to Atlanta, Georgia. We lived there for 22 years. And then 10 years ago, we moved up here to West Virginia to be closer to our son who had some medical problems. And we moved up here to help him out, and we've been here since.
Did you ever go to the Underground in Atlanta?
Yes, I did.
It's a wild place.
It's a wild place, a pretty neat experience.
Yep. I've been there before.
Have you?
Yeah, that was something. And Libby, what about you? What's next for you?
One of the things that I'm very involved with is genealogy. So one of the avenues I'm looking at is not only doing a podcast and a YouTube later regarding that, but is also to travel around the country and helping people when it comes to tracing their roots. So that's one of the things that I'm going to be really involved in, especially in Missouri, where I'm looking at moving to shortly, because of the fact that a lot of my ancestors and stuff lived in Missouri. They immigrated from the East Coast and ended up in Missouri, of all places.
I could trace my genealogy by using police records, I think. My grandfather, my father's father, was a bookie in Harlem back in the 1930s. And my dad was his collector. And he was the only white guy in the Harlem Y back then. That was something. But he also owned a deli and ran a bookie joint out of the back room. And when the Depression hit, he gave away all his food on credit. And of course, he never collected, and he ended up going out of business. But the bookie joint did well. So, is there anything you guys would like to ask me? Oh, you should see the look on their faces, like, oh God, deer in the headlights.
Being from New York, Dan, and growing up there, how'd you end up in West Virginia?
Boy, talk about a circuitous route. I actually went to every state in the country, and I traveled everywhere. I've lived in every state on the East Coast, from New York to Florida, except Delaware. I was in Winchester, ended up there because trying to give you the Reader's Digest version, I was in Texas, I went to Maryland Eastern Shore, and I thought, okay, I want to go find some place to settle down, because I was living on my motorcycle then. And I got out a map, and the name Winchester, Virginia just pops out. So I moved to Winchester. I met my wife, Sheila, Art by Weeze. I have to put in a plug for artbyweeze.com. And I met her there, and then we came up to West Virginia, built our house, and we've been here almost 40 years. So that's how I ended up here.
And you built this house yourself, right?
Yes.
It's an awesome job, man.
Well, thank you.
And didn't you all just celebrate your 40th?
March 10th was our 40th anniversary of us living together. And we got married October 10th, and be 40 years of married. So I'm not going to go into the whole story now, but yeah, that's a story about how we got together. That was very different. But then most of my life is, so what the heck, right? Is there anything you'd like to say to the folks that are listening? Libby?
Well, I really enjoy your show and your podcast, and I really think that a lot more people should be listening to to what you have to say, especially those who live here in Martinsburg, because what a great resource and everything that they have.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, if you happen to stumble across this interview, that's great. But Dan's got a lot of other stuff that you can listen to, stories and everything, and they're all good. You really need to check it out.
Well, thank you both, and thank you both for doing the shows with me. I really appreciate it.
You're so
Unfortunately, Libby's going to be moving, and we won't have her expertise. We might be able to get one more show out of her. Hopefully, we'll see what happens.
But it's as fast as you can write, Dan.
All right, I've got 2 hours. I got to write another story. All right. I want to thank you both again so much. I want to thank everybody who's tuned in and listening. And God bless.